Good morning. Just wanted to show you my sink cutouts. What I did is I bought some 3/4 inch styrofoam insulation. You can just get it at a hardware store. Combine them together, cut out the shape. So this is the shape that I got. And then I used some tape to tape it together because all of the styrofoam junkies go everywhere, which really sucks. And then I used sheetrock mud and covered the edges so I can sand it down and make it real smooth. You could do that as many or as little times as you want, like whatever perfection level you want to do. And that way you can kind of, you know, get like a smooth edge or whatever. And using this technique you can make you can do any shape you want. So I'm going to sand that down and get it ready, and then I'll put it in place and it should be ready to pour the concrete at the time. So I sanded it down, and then I went ahead and put the rest of my, well, not the rest, but I used the silicone that I had in and put it on the sides. I've read somewhere that you can use shellac on the sheetrock, but this is really easy to use. You just wipe it around with your finger, and then it dries really quickly. You know, in shellac you gotta, you know, spray it on and all kinds of stuff. But I have to silicone it down so that I'm not getting, you know, seepage underneath and stuff, and it messes up the edges. You kind of want to do this so that it creates a real nice edge, and when we pull it out of the form, you'll see. So next, I'm going to get the metal that's going to go inside the concrete for stability, and cut it to shape, and then put that in place, and then should be ready to mix some concrete. Alright, so here's where I'm at. I'm in my garage. But here's what I did. I took some 3/8 rebar and just a pair of channel locks, and twisted it together around the sink. You can see the let's see here. You can see the square that I made. So and that's just gonna hold this thin part and this thin part around the sink, so you want a little bit more stability. And then I put my lath piece that I got from the hardware store just on the over the top of everything. Just going to use a pair of dikes and cut it so that it fits the shape. And then once you got it all cut and ready to go, you take it back out, and when you're like half full with the concrete, you'll put it back in. But when we get there, we'll do that. You know what, don't use dikes to cut this stuff, because it really hurts your hands, man. So if you have one of these or something similar, just cut it. Just cut the sucker, or use a Sawzall or something. But if it sucks to do, then use a different tool, man. That's always better. Definitely didn't hurt. And it was fun. Sparks are fun. So that's it. All the metal is cut. All the forms are made. Let me see how dry the silicone is here. It's almost dry. So in the time it's going to take us to set up the cement mixer and vacuum all this out and get all that ready, then it'll be perfect. So I've read that if you use 2 parts sand, 1 part Federal white cement. I like to use white if you're going to do acid staining, because you can really play with the colors. And a 1/4 part water. So 2 parts sand, 1 part cement, 1/4 part water is supposed to be the mixture. But I've tried all that, and you know, it's actually by look. You know, you can rent a cement mixer or borrow a friend's or whatever. Like all your friends have cement mixers. But I'll show you the texture of like what the mud is supposed to look like, and that makes it, that's really what you go by, is what it looks like. So I'm sure most professionals are the same way. It's called slump. You know, like pour it out and see how quickly it drops, or if it doesn't drop or whatever. So we'll see how we'll be slumping later. Alright, so I added the water, and I added way too much water, but that's okay because I'm going to add more sand and cement. So you can see how runny that is. It's way too runny. So, but as you can see, I barely have anything in there. So I like to just keep adding stuff. You kind of want like a clumpy, wet sand type thing, you know, from the beach. That's the kind of texture you want, and then it'll be perfect. Alright, here, so what I did, I loosened up all the dry stuff that was stuck on the back of the cement mixer, and you can see with the texture that looks like. It clumps real slowly. Let me turn it. So you can kind of see how that kind of forms in your hand like that. That's like a perfect consistency. But I want a lot more, so I'm gonna mix a bunch, but this is pretty much how you want it to look. Just grab it in your hand, you can make like a ball with it, and that's a really good form. When I'm just about finished, I'll add the fiberglass. So I got the mixture all together. This is what it looks like. Pretty clumpy, workable. I've got some just some fiber additives. It's just a fiberglass little mesh pieces, and then it doesn't take a lot. So I'll probably use about I don't know, about this much for the whole mixture. So just this little bit on the top. So that's all it takes, and that'll really add some strength. So if there's any like overhangs or anything like that, it'll make it real solid. You don't want this stuff to crack or anything like that. So with the metal that goes on the inside and the fiberglass that goes on there, it's going to be super solid. So if you wanted to make like urns or sinks or anything like that, make sure you throw a bunch of fiberglass in there. Just make sure it doesn't come on the surface. If it does, you have to burn it off or sand it off or something like that. So I'm going to add the fiberglass and then start packing the form. Alright, so what I've done is I just took the 5-gallon bucket that had the sand in it, and I just poured a little bit out of the concrete mixer. I'm keeping it running so it stays, you know, mixed. And I'm just going to dump it in there and start working it. You only want to get about half full on the first one because you still got to put the metal in. Alright, so what I did is I finished pouring in the concrete, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to screed it now. So the 2x4 that I use for the jig to do the routing, I'm just going to use to screed it. And then I really built up this side, I'm going to push it that way, so if there's any holes or anything I can fill it up down there. That is a good slump. I jumped out of the bucket, sagged a bunch, you know, right here, but at the same time, you know, it's movable, so that's the kind of thing you want to look for. It's perfect. Alright, so once it's all set, you just got to use a trowel and trowel it up, and it kind of has like water on the surface, and just the more you pull it and the more you work it, the flatter and smoother it'll get, and that's it.